Good afternoon, everybody, and hello, champions. My name is Dylan, and I am coming to you live from the snowy coastal city of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I'm sure the rest of North America and the Northern Hemisphere is still laughing at how those of us on the West Coast have handled our snowpocalypse. But you have snowplows, and we don't. So, you know, it usually takes us years to get the amount of snow we've had fall already this week. So it's been pretty hilarious. So first things first, thank you to the folks at Dungeons & Dragons for graciously allowing us the use of this space. It is and will always be an honor to be here. And I would also like to acknowledge our helping hands, the folks behind the scenes who make streaming not just possible, but fun. So thanks to Clive Corman. Usually I would be thanking Erica right here, and I should anyways because Erica is awesome, but she's been snowed and has hurt her ankle and is not in. And so filling in Erica's shoes is Chris Dupuis. And of course, Lauren Obo Crazy Urban. Thank you, all of you, for everything that you do. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And I guess at this point, I put the question to you. Where would you like to begin? I have a Birdsong formation kind of running around right now in one of the free plays. I forget which one. I think it's the Birdsong free play. Yeah, it is. I'm sure this formation could be better optimized. I just threw it together. And certainly Volanya could be in a better spot, but she gets buffed if she's by herself, so that's kind of why I'm doing this. It occurs to me that normally Erica curates all the questions that come and go, so I hope Chris is doing that. If not, I will do my best. Oh, no, I see he's doing it. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Why do you think flumps are the best? I think Birdsong is the best. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what is a flump, really? But no, Birdsong. Birdsong's the best. Birdsong. Birdsong, Birdsong, Birdsong. Is there no level beyond 300 in the Birdsong free play? I asked if they are getting stuck there. No, there are more than 300 areas. In fact, on this screen, you can't really see it because of this thing, but I'll show you. I am in area, I just passed 325, 324. Yeah, now I'm in 326, so there are more areas. So if somebody's having a glitch where they for some reason can't pass an area, please let us know. Make a ticket, and yeah, we will take a look. Apologies for missing the community Q&A this week. It was interesting getting snowed in Victoria. For those who do not know, Victoria gets something like half a foot maybe of snow a year over the course of an entire year. And we got like a foot overnight on Monday night, which just like crippled the city. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just like the ways in which we are prepared for snow are so inadequate in terms of the amount of just salt we have on hand for salting roads, never mind plows and other things. So, you know, people were basically stuck at home. Everything closed, schools closed, you know, which meant daycare is closed as well, and you know, half our staff have kids, and well, maybe not half, maybe a third of our staff or a quarter of our staff have kids, so they were, you know, suddenly dealing with kid snow days, and it was just chaos. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing like the snow in Montreal, as pointed out by one of our Reddit users, but we just can't deal with it. And honestly, any city that has an expected amount of annual snowfall, if you got 2 years worth in a night, it would mess up your day. So here we are, and it's snowing now and expected to snow more. So I hope that we are here tomorrow, but I guess we'll see. Let's see my Birdsong's gear. Sure, yeah. Best way to see Birdsong gear is to go right into the menu. Wait, no, that's Tyrrell. Bad. Okay, here we go. I have the Birdsong gears from each of the sales that have been related to Birdsong that have come out. So my Birdsong is really good, actually, now that I look at it. Over level 200 on a couple of these. Yeah. Yeah, although I dumped a ton of contracts into Birdsong when I was trying to do the first clear of Zaka's Procession Part 2. So that's where all my then blacksmithing contracts went. So yeah, very geared Birdsong. Yeah. In fact, Birdsong is one of the champions where I think we really knocked it out of the park with the design and the art that Alexis did putting Birdsong together, because I think Birdsong was her first champion. You know, and as I understand it, Birdsong is from Birdsong was previously to Idle Champions in Tales from Candlekeep, Tomb of Annihilation, but then I'm pretty sure before that even Birdsong was in one of the board games. I want to say Lords of Waterdeep. That's probably incorrect, but yeah. SLDF Spectre 6, is it possible to have a visual indicator on the screen for how close Cthulhu is to summoning his demon helper? So it's interesting to note that we have some worries on our end about clogging our UI. Now, at one point during the process of putting Cthulhu together, Justin had, like, weighing the options of whether or not to have some kind of indicator, more like a Zaka, where you have some kind of counter over top of Cthulhu, counting down to when it's going to be summoned. I don't actually remember the exact reasoning behind why we opted not to. It was probably just because it was cluttering the interface even more. But I mean, if it's a bit of a feedback that we consistently get from lots of players saying that they need to see it, it's something that we might consider. Especially since, like, I mean, you can do things like you can use bounty contracts to drop a whole bunch of coins and get that shadow demon summoned immediately. So it's not something that you always need to worry about happening timing wise. So yeah. Mindless Systems. Dylan, my fellow Kenku lover, my younger brother has decided to play a Kenku divination wizard and is looking for a name. Suggestions. I don't know why, but my brain went to Devo. Maybe because I wanted to make a Whippet joke, but also Kenku divination. I don't know. I went to Devo right away for some reason. Oh, there's a notification to join me on stream. I'm going to close that. Yeah, Kenku are one of the more interesting 5e or even just in general D&D races to play. They are lore rich in that, like, the reasoning behind why they don't have their own voices and why they lack creativity is really interesting, and but at the same time, like, holy crap, difficult to play in terms of, like, the rules as written. Like, if you're playing a Kenku that cannot be creative because the spark of creativity has been taken from their race, and you can only mimic sounds, like, what a challenge. I am not personally brave enough to play a Kenku in that way. A lot of players I know kind of game it a bit so that they can, they have ways of communicating. And then certainly the lack of creativity thing makes for a really strange element that if you incorporate it well, cool, but, like, holy crap, that's difficult. But anyways, kudos to your younger brother, Mindless Systems. Playing a Kenku is awesome, and good luck. When can we expect the first quality of life update? We have it slated in our schedule for March. That being said, I mean, it just really depends on how long things take. But we are aiming for, we're aiming for it to arrive in Q1, as we had said initially, and we still hope to make that goal. I mean, it's one of those things that when we have information to share on it, we will. But yeah, we are hoping for March. It could be April or May. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Manual Turret. Now, that being said, the other major thing that we're targeting March with, is our core champion balance update, which, again, is one of those things, like, it depends on how much time it takes. Like, we're planning some pretty aggressive reworks of a few of the core champions, and some of the other ones we're happy with, and then there's some tweaks that we'd like to see. Certainly Calliope's shielding is very strong. And so, we have a short list of, like, probably relatively easy things that we'd like to address, but, we're going to do some deep dives in design on, at the very least, Jarlaxle and Delina, possibly more. We'll see when we get there. And again, yeah, time and cycles are a factor. So both that and the quality of life update we're hoping for March. So yeah. Those wondering about the interface in the game, because I don't usually stream with the mouse and keyboard interface or the tablet interface anymore. This is the gamepad UI, which if you play on Steam and activate it, or if you play on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, this is the interface that you see. I am using an Xbox controller because this is a nicer, more comfortable controller out of the ones we have in the office. And yeah, loving it. Those wondering how to do it, you can go into your settings, and it's the same spot on both interfaces. Display and UI, gamepad UI mode. You just toggle it on and off. It'll shut down the game when you do it, and then it'll reload it with whatever interface you're switching to. I also have flashing and lighting effects disabled and screen shake disabled, because we have in the past on stream had complaints from players who have some kind of visual sensitivity. So I try to keep that in mind. And then yeah, I have scientific notation on always, because it's so easy to read. I know some players were asking for engineer's notation. I don't know if it's something we're ever going to plan to do. But yeah, scientific notation all the way. And also, for those wondering about familiars, I currently have the full slate of familiars on every slot, just leveling the champions, with the Chewinga running back and forth here, popping an ult off every once in a while, just for fun. Just seeing how far this Birdsong formation can idle. I tend to idle play a lot more than I active play. The only times I really remember active playing much are trying to beat Azaka's Procession Part 2 when it launched, and a handful of boss fights here and there that are just so tough if you're not paying attention. So yeah, just kind of letting it ride. Putting that controller down, staying on top of questions. Alrighty, so question number 9. Would it be possible to implement a similar duplication mechanic as we have with normal epic gears to event white gears, meaning it would be rare / impossible to get a duplicate white before obtaining all 6 whites on a particular champion? So basically, you're a player who would like to be able to fill out your collection, and I hear you. And I know that Chris has something he's been working on with relation to that, but I don't know exactly what it is. Adjusting the code around our chest item drop system is something that we never take lightly, and so I don't know if I'm in a position to talk about how that might get approached, but certainly we are aware that players would like to be able to fill out their collection with a little bit more certainty, and event silver chests are unusually difficult to obtain, and yeah, Chris has something in mind for that, but I don't know if he has anything to share about it at this time. So yeah. McCain, what is your reasoning of not having a pity timer for shinies? Been months since I saw one, and it's starting to get a bit depressing. It's pure RNG at a percentage that would make it so that your chances of getting one are 1 in every 100 chests. 1,000 chests. So what is that? That's 0.1% chance. So it's tiny. What I can speak to is that shiny equipment cards were initially never looked at as an aspect of progression with your champions. Because we balance the game around basically rare equipment across the board, so that that's what determines whether or not you can get through the content as it comes out. And then players who have epic or better, they have shinies and or golden epic cards, should be able to push that much further. The silvers were never initially thought of as a progression system, in that you upgrade all of your gear to rare, and then you get everything into epics, and then you try to get everything shiny. But it's something that's kind of happened as the game has evolved. So we don't have any plans right now to address that situation. But it is something we're keeping in mind, because ultimately we do want chest opening experiences to be positive. And for those who may not be in the loop, I feel like the mic might be a little bit far away. For those who may not be in the loop, updates to our chest opening and purchasing system are part of the quality of life updates we like to address. So at that point, you will be able to both purchase more and open more at the same time. That's a feature that we're pretty keen on, that some players may know that we already have in some of our other titles. We just haven't implemented it in this one yet, and it's on the list. I don't know how high up the list is because I haven't spoken with Justin or Chris lately about exactly how the quality of life update is shaping, but these are things that we are aware of and that we would like to address. So while there's a lull in questions, there's a couple of things I want to mention. So first, those of you who can observe in the top right corner of the screen, there is a code, Tabaxi Bard Chests, that's currently only something you can use on Steam, but it will get you a pair of Gold Songbird chests. We are working on a system that will be available across all platforms that will allow players to unlock chests, I should say. This is to address the discrepancy between Steam players and tablet and console players. I don't have an ETA for when it's going to be finished, except to say that the proposal that we put in was approved across all platforms. So it is something we are able to do. And so we will get there. There are some bigger aspects to that system change behind the scenes, more work that we have to do in order to implement it. So I don't have an ETA on it or more news to say, except to say that yes, it's coming, and no, it won't be, like next year or the year after that it arrives. Like it's coming. So yeah. What else? There was another thing that another big thing that I wanted to address. It'll come to me. All right, so given that it's been announced that there will be no new adventures in Tomb of Annihilation after we can unlock Dragonbait, does that mean we will not get Bag of Nails as a playable champion? That's a really good question. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Bag of Nails is not currently a champion that we plan to release. That being said, if there is an overwhelming movement of players who would love to see Bag of Nails, maybe even the Bag of Nails as played by Matthew Lillard on Dice Camera Action, become a champion in our game, let us know. We would be curious to know that. Now, the interesting thing about the Tomb of Annihilation campaign, so the story, the official story, like our interpretation of the Tomb of Annihilation campaign book, that story is done. With the last adventures that we released, with Mesro and the storyline with Dragonbait and Artist Simber coming to a close, like we consider that the story end to the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. There is always a chance that there'll be more adventures in some context, but like the story is done. Dragonbait, for those who may not know, Dragonbait is going to be an Evergreen unlock champion sometime later this year. I'm not quite clear on the date, but sometime later this year, as part of some extremely difficult variants in the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. We have room for another tier of variants across many of the adventures, most of which have actually been planned, like they're difficult. So as we get to releasing those variants and getting those things done, get that tech ready, eventually Dragonbait will be an unlock. But I believe, at least it's the current plan, I don't know if Chris has changed his mind because he changes his mind, but I believe that the next Evergreen unlock is not going to be Dragonbait, it's going to be in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, so we'll see. Let's see. This event was the first time I got 100% for both year 1 and year 2. Thank you for the chests. You're welcome. I'm glad you were able to complete it. Two fantastic champions in Grand Revel, in Birdsong and Paulton Seppa, both viable in different ways. They don't lock you into the same formation or anything weird, but they're both worth building entire formations around, and that's really cool. And yeah, so I'm glad you were able to complete it. Colette, hi Dylan, I spotted the idle trials on Reddit this morning. Has anyone in the office been trying these? They look like good fun. Oh, excuse me. At least I have. I don't know if anybody else has. Likely the only other person in the office who probably would be Erica. and she is out with getting smoked by some ice. So hopefully it's nothing major and she gets to come back soon. I have tried a couple. I only did one official run because it's something that, like, when I do it, I want to make sure that I am documenting my play well. So when I did my run that I submitted to Mars, I actually recorded video of me at the end of that run, going through all my champions, basically proving that all the other champions hadn't been unlocked, that I hadn't leveled up things, etc., before I went to the quest complete screen and submitted it. Now, that was overkill, I will admit. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I know it's an honor system because there's no great, perfect way to track things and people can, hack their game somehow. But I think it's a really cool thing and it's a lot of fun. And I should do another one. In fact, I'm probably nearing the end of this run, like getting to a wall once I get maybe 400-ish idle. In which case I'll start one. So ask me which one. Let me know which one of the Mars Idle trials I should do. SLDF Spectre 6. Thanks for the chests. Are there plans to add Critical Role to the game? We kind of have come to the point where we have an official statement on this topic, just because it's a question that comes up every week, usually more than once a week, and that's totally cool. I'm glad that people are asking the question. We would absolutely love to be able to include characters from Critical Role in Idle Champions, given the opportunity. But we acknowledge that Critical Role is kind of like it's the top of the D&D show pyramid these days. Everybody involved with it is, they're remarkable talents, but they're also profoundly busy. So they have, because they recently became an independent studio and all that stuff, they have a lot to consider in terms of what projects they take on. So, yeah, we would love to. That would be awesome. Valior666, thank you for the event. Finally was able to reach 300 plus without potions. More bards always help. The Bardmageddon is a thing. Bards are awesome. And the crazy, we obviously, at this point, we have more bards than any other class, but we also, we have, what do you call it? What's the word I was looking for? We have another bard on the way. I don't know how many players caught the news, and in retrospect, I haven't been adding it yet to the weekly roadmap updates in the community Q&A, so I hope I remember to do it next week. But the cast of High Rollers Eros campaign, those characters are coming to Idle Champions in the future, and they include an Aarakocra bard. So there will be at least one more bard joining the game. So I don't know what slot they'll be in or exactly how they're going to play or what, but yeah. It's not spoilers, Chris. We announced that at the end of last year. Jeez. Let's see. Dragon Heist is still missing Tears of Favor Blessings. Any word? Well, I'm assuming that you don't spend time in the Well of Spoilers channel on the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord and you would like to, because it's an amazing community where you can learn pretty much anything you want to know about Idle Champions, discord.gg/idlechampions is where we hang out. You can often get in touch with either myself or Chris, depending on how busy we are. But also, it's, there's a lot of stuff in there, but people who data mine the game because they want to find out bits of every bit of information in advance, it's also there. So, on that note, yes, we have more blessings, more Helm's blessings coming to the game. We have more tiers of blessings planned for all campaigns. I'm not exactly clear on what the release schedule is for them. I do know that they are not done, but sooner rather than later. Yeah. Maruli, can you do an idle trial live on the stream like next week? Sure. Yeah, I could do that. I'll make a note there. Will there be a way to acquire missing golden shiny items? So golden equipment cards that have only been available as per weekend promotions, at one time or another, they will be making a return. But as I understand it, and Chris can correct me on it, the way in which we do that hasn't been finalized. So yes, they will definitely be coming back, but when is when is up to some debate, because I'm not personally sure whether or not we have a finalized idea of exactly how we want to do that. When and where does the Gleam giveaway winner get announced? Is it only the winner who hears about it? No, I was going to announce it on stream. And I just realized that I actually, usually I like to show the prize when I make the announcement, and it's not sitting here, which means it's sitting on Clive's desk, getting ready to be shipped out. So Clive, can you please bring that to me so I can show it, and then I'll announce the winner of the latest giveaway. It is for, off the top of my head, it's 3 Gale Force 9 products. There's a set of brushes, a set of paints, and the, I think possibly limited edition, but I could be wrong, Force Grey mini set. So it's got like Archon the Cruel, Tyrell Tall Guy, Jamila, Calliope, and Hitch, I think. I think that's it. Yeah, so I will announce that as soon as Clive brings me the physical product to do it. I could get up from my chair, but I feel really awkward about like leaving this stream blank for a short period of time. That would be weird. So, hey, thank you, sir. So, as I manifest them from off in the darkness. So yes, the prize is right here. We have Nulzur's Marvelous Pigments and Nulzur's Marvelous Brush Set. Still sealed. Huge thanks to Jean-Paul at Gale Force 9, by the way. And the Collector's Series Force Grey model set. Wait, I'm terrible at doing this in reverse. So, we will be mailing the 3 of these out to... let me just check, because Clive sent the winner info to me, but I can't remember where he put it. Bear with me while I find this. I thought he put it here. Did he put it... nope. Alrighty. Oh my god, I'm killing the momentum of this. Ah, here we go. We have a winner for the paint set, minis, and brushes. Oh, it's going to Brazil. Louis P. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. Who lives in Patrocinio, MG, Brazil. Yeah. So Louis P, congratulations on your Collector's Series Force Grey and Nulzur's Marvelous Pigments and Brush Set. We're sending those to Brazil. Cool. Yeah. Alrighty. So you answered the CR questions before, but how much does a person have to put into their character when you contact them? I can't speak to Critical Role because we haven't worked with them in that kind of context. But I can speak to working with like Nate Sharp and Anna Prosser and Jared Nabenbauer and Holly Conrad on their characters from Dice Camera Action and implementing them into the game. It's a pretty... It doesn't tend to be a hugely time-consuming process on their end, but it's also how much time they put in is entirely up to them. It's at minimum a few hours, and it includes collaborative, like basically we do conference calls with whomever we're working with, which in some cases may also include a third party, like somebody who is handling other aspects of that relationship. For example, when we work with the C team, we work with the wonderful Alyssa, who is like the production manager person. I'm not quite clear on what Alyssa's job title is with Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team. So we work with Alyssa and then whomever we're working with. So in the case of our most recent champions, we worked with Ryan Hartman and Chris Straub, and then on each call, Alyssa was also a part. And then we will have whomever on our end is drawing the champion, so whether that's Adam or Alexis or Kat. We will also include Kat because she's our resident item/equipment specialist, and so she also does all of that. And then we will have Clive and myself, depending on whether or not there's any kind of marketing components or aspects. And then Chris will be there to go over high-level design. And so we will have, usually, like, our initial call will be an hour. We'll talk about the history of the character. We'll get them to send art assets, concept art or official or otherwise, or fan art they like for characters. We'll talk to them about, the character's backstory, their history, what makes them them. What defining characteristics are important. We will, go over all the equipment they have. And I gotta say, there is a lot of equipment that the Waffle Crew has that they don't use because, they're on season 4. They've done 100 and something episodes. They've got a lot of rad stuff. Like, there are more items that we weren't able to fit into equipment for all of them. Anyways, but so we look at all the equipment. We talk about which pieces mean the most. The more information we can get from whomever we were working with, the better. And so we do that, and then as well we have so that's like our initial call, and we'll talk about if your character had an ultimate ability, or what do you consider the thing that they're always most frequently doing. We want to know how they like to interact with their game worlds. And so it's a pretty in-depth call, and then we start putting things together. We'll do concept sketches, so the artists will have back and forth with whomever it is throughout the entire process. Designs will get put together by Chris or Justin or myself or some combination thereof to build the character's kit. And then after we do that, we kind of we finalize it, and then we bounce it off them. And throughout this entire process, we're getting approvals both from whomever we're working with and the team at Wizards of the Coast. So it's a weeks-long process. And while we probably only took up one-on-one interaction or group chat interaction with Holly Conrad only took up a couple of hours total, who knows how much more time it takes on her end in terms, because she posted she talked about every bit of equipment and how she built it for her costume and all this stuff. So it can be pretty in depth sometimes, and so it could be a longer process. And we sometimes it gets drawn out because communication is tougher because somebody is really busy, like with Nate. Nate was busy, so it took longer to get Paulton designed and put into the game. And so it takes weeks of time and communication, and it'll take Alexis or Adam or Kat probably a couple days to draw and finalize the champion and then animate them. And it can take more or less time depending on whether or not there are revisions. It's a weeks-long process. Ted Faster, are we going to get non-meh barbarians? Yes, but I think the first thing we should do is make some of the barbarians we already have not meh. So the first one getting looked at will be Jamila with the core champion update. Wolfgar will be a part of the year 1 champion update, and as will Binwin. I think we have Binwin as a fighter in the game, but Binwin's a fighter barbarian, so yeah. Cabane 1. Will we get update to the PC UI like the gamepad UI? Characters look so much better, and the UI is a lot cleaner and professional. Well, I think that our previous UI was professional as well, but I take your meaning in that this one is much more attractive. The plan is to do an overhaul of our mouse and keyboard interface at some point in the future, but it is such an involved, time-consuming process that eats up a crazy amount of Adam's and probably Jacob's and at least one other person's time to redo and implement and iterate on. It took months to put the gamepad UI together. So it's something that we're looking at, that we want to do, but I don't have an ETA for when we'll address it. I need some water. Alrighty. I've asked you on Reddit some time ago, but you've left it without an answer. Any info on when this whole rebalance will end? Well, apologies if I missed your question. Sometimes Reddit just eats it, because I constantly, as I get the notifications that people have messaged me or responded, that's as I address them, and then I try and go back and forth between that and the full thread, making sure I caught everything. but I miss some sometimes. So sorry about that. The rebalance, so the champion balance update, as we were calling it last year, evolved into a core champion balance update and a year 1 champion balance update, and then a year 2 champion balance update. So it's split into 3, and we're prioritizing the first one, aiming for the end of Q1. So we were very much hoping for March to do it, to get that one complete. So that'll be the first 12 champions. But there is a chance that it may get delayed back, and then the year 1 champion balance update is Q2, maybe Q3 kind of thing. We don't like giving firm dates on that thing because being a small company and with the stuff that comes up, like, it's easy for our priorities list to get shuffled around for a variety of different reasons behind the scenes, and so things can be pushed back. So that's the reason that we tend to be vague about dates with those kinds of things. Any designs to make monsters drop appropriate items? For example, level 18 in Underdeep Cartography calls to get 25 snake eyes to move forward, but both the flying snakes and the crocodiles drop them. Yeah, so that's something that we have the capability to do now, but it's probably not something that we're going to go back to every previous adventure and address, just because it would eat up a lot of time and cycles, and it just wouldn't be excuse me, weird Gatorade. It's something that we would eat up time that we would rather spend on things like a champion balance update or quality of life updates. So and like, I hear you when you give that feedback. Like, I think about one of my greatest pet peeves in gaming being things like you have to hunt eyes of a creature that has 6 eyes, and every time you kill one you maybe get 1, and it's like, no, I should get 6 or 4 or whatever. So I hear you. It's a personal pet peeve as a gamer. I might be in the minority here, but I would love to see some more Forgotten Realms NPCs like the Companions of the Hall. I'm seeing idle champions moving away from those published champions. Any comments or thoughts? So that's an interesting thing. So we try to balance it. Admittedly, we have been skewing more towards champions who are played by people on live streams. I can say that off the top of my head, I can think of 4 or 5 lore-based characters coming this year, including the next champion after Paulton. Usually, we don't talk about upcoming champions until whichever one we're currently focused on, right now being Paulton and Birdsong with Grand Rebel. Usually, we don't talk about the next champion until an event ends. We just want to be fair to them. But since I spoiled this in the community in the Snow Day update the other day, I can say that our next champion is the Black Viper, coming with Fleet's Wake. And it's the Black Viper as based on the official cosplay that Vivid Vivka did for Wizards of the Coast. If any of you watched the stream of Many Eyes, she was in costume / character at that. So that's how we're going to do it. And I should add a note to that. Vivid Vivka, if you do look her up, an amazing artist, performer, a gamer. She's on Sirens of the Realms, but a lot of her social media is not safe for work. So just keep that in mind when you look into her. But she's awesome, and she actually played the Black Viper on the Dice Camera Action live stream, as well as in person at the at TwitchCon this past year. So yeah, Black Viper is the next one, and Dragonbait is coming this year. Dragonbait's got a long history actually with Forgotten Realms. Sure, I'll drop a hint. There are plans for a lawful evil assassin to join the game this year as well. Let's see what's next. Has anybody looked into Havilar, Farida's sister? I cannot comment on that, but I like what you're thinking. Triskavansky. Do the characters that join into this have to be a podcast character or in Forgotten Realms? or could say Order of the Stick end up showing up. So there's a few aspects to that. One, everything that goes into Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms has to be approved by Wizards of the Coast and the D&D team. So, first and foremost, they have to be like, yes, they have to give us the old gladiator thumbs up or thumbs down on what we're trying to do. And it's not something that we run into a lot, but it's something that, every once in a while they're like, no. We've certainly asked about some characters, like, what about so-and-so from this? And they're like, they just shake their head, which is fine. It makes sense. It's Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, not Idle Champions of the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. So, we do have some leeway. Like, Warden is obviously a Warforged, and Warforged are from the Eberron setting, though Warden itself, or themselves, is in the Forgotten Realms, for not good reasons. Warden is not a good being. So, the door is kind of open for some of these other potential characters. The more off from the Forgotten Realms, the less likely, I would say. Like the High Rollers, Eros characters, subclass options and races that are not a part of that are not a part of 5th edition Forgotten Realms are a little bit tougher to find a way to integrate, because things basically have to be 5E'd in order to fit into the game. So that adds some challenges there too. So on that note, like, are we likely to see any characters from Kryn, the setting from the Dragonlance novels? Highly unlikely. And as well as any established characters from Eberron or Ravnica, hugely unlikely. But unique NPCs or characters or monsters from those settings, maybe. It really depends on how Wizards feels about what we put together. Let's see. Can't this formation be adjusted to get Celeste's Heal and Calliope's Shield onto Evelyn without reducing Birdsong DPS? Oh, probably. I haven't looked hugely at this formation. But oh yeah, no, it absolutely can. Are you kidding? Yeah, it totally could. Thank you for pointing that out. I will make some adjustments. So. Paulton's in a good spot. Actually, one other thing is that ought to do it. The only thing I don't like about this is I'm not really capitalizing on Valanya in the sense that, like, she has adjacency bonuses, right? And I'm not using them. So it's certainly a very subpar way of using Valanya. Yeah, enthralling performance, 0 out of 300 stacks. Yikes. So honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Hitch was a better option, just because. But Valanya's Bard, and I'm using Troubadour Troop, and it's a Bard formation, and Birdsong's a Bard, so Bards all around. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save this as my slot 3 formation. There we go. Alrighty. What did I have for questions next? Will we ever see heroes from Kryn? Oh, the Mad Alchemist. Sorry. Yeah, highly unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. Diarist, Paulton is such a treat. Thank you so much. We're glad you like Paulton. It was really fun to work with Nate. He's a blast, even though he's very busy, so it's just hard to get in touch with him. But he's awesome. And Paulton was such an interesting challenge as a champion to make. Being a fourth wall breaking Deadpool type character on a show, that's the kind of thing that is not easy to represent in a game like ours. So it was we had a lot of fun putting his design together. The initial design I put in was probably broken. Justin completely disassembled and reassembled him, and then, like, he looks almost identical to how he was initially designed, but you know, they fixed some stuff, and he's rad. It's pronounced Farida? I was pronouncing it Faraday the whole time. No, it is officially pronounced Farida, at least according to Aaron M. Evans, who said it's Farida as in fajita. So yeah, but you know, you can say whatever you want. So if you want to call Farida Faraday or Faride or whatever, feel free. Any possibility of creating homegrown characters, i.e. my characters, running them on your own hard drive but not in the cloud? That's not something that we're looking at doing for the game. In order to do that well, because we wouldn't want to put in a really, really janky, crappy version of it with like 3 preset characters and you just pick one kind of thing. Like we would, you know, say we hypothetically did want to do a character creation thing where you could create your own champion or champions. Balancing it would be a virtual impossibility, but just the base race, class / subclass options in the 5th edition Player's Handbook would provide just too much work to do for that kind of feature. It's just not something we're looking at doing. You know, if you're really feeling like creating your own homegrown character, there's nothing like the actual D&D to do that with. You know, and if you're like me and you like creating characters and you regularly have lots of them created, you know, do that. Make tons of characters. And if you're a DM, you can use them, which I'd like to do. So, yeah. Are you closer to adding a 13th slot for a new champion? It's not something we're looking at right now, but it's something that, you know, I mean, clearly, if you look at our previous title, Crusaders of Lost Idols, I mean, there's many characters and many bench slots. And, like, we still have 12, but, you know, this is something that, you know, we are eventually going to have to look at. But we perhaps are not there yet. And that's really all that I can say. Yeah, I kind of have to leave it at that just because there isn't really more I can get into on that subject. But it's something that we've definitely considered, and that we've looked at, and maybe. MC Sap or McSap, what is your favorite D&D story not yet approached in this game? Normally I would say Curse of Strahd, but we're doing a kind of pseudo Curse of Strahd in the Grand Tour of the Sword Coast campaign, and we've done Tomb of Annihilation, which I quite enjoy. If we're going across the entire history of Dungeons and Dragons, like, you know, every edition, Planescape related stuff would be what I would love to see. I don't know if it's something we can because we're very Forgotten Realms focused, but like I love Planescape. It's cool. You know, and like on the topic of, like, a minor segue from that, like on the topic of campaign settings, like Dark Sun. God, I want a 5th edition Dark Sun so bad. So bad. I love Eberron too, but Dark Sun. Anyway, so favorite D&D story not yet approaching this game. Yeah, Planescape. Anything Planescape. I'm a huge fan of the Great Modron March, and I know we did a Great Modron March in the game, but I'd like to see the weird part of it, where, like, you know, stuff to do with Mechanus, you know. Yeah. Sir Monstein or Monstein. Love the faction bonus of running more than one of the same faction. Will this see more champions have that? That is, we consider that an area that there's a lot more opportunity to explore in terms of design. You know, obviously we have the Force Grey Lost City of Omu champions in the game. We have the Waffle Crew champions in the game. We have half of the C Team champions in the game. So, you know, we have 2 more of those. We have the crew from High Rollers. We have the Companions of the Hall in the game, but they're getting a rework. Well, maybe not all of them, but a few key components are going to get some serious changes. it's ground that we want to explore more. The one thing that we're pretty wary of with it is that we don't want anybody to feel like they have to have a specific group of characters in order to have a viable formation. So, we're going to keep that in mind at the same time. Manstick 1986, Dylan, I just noticed all your gear. Do you get free purples or do you grind them? I grind them, but at the same time, I certainly have, an element of dev privilege in that, like, if I want anything, I can just go into my account, I guess, and give it to me. But what I do instead is I play. Like, I have many thousands of hours in the game. Yeah. I know a lot of players continue grinding and opening chests to get their item levels higher, and there are players who free play this game who have way more item levels across their champions than I do. But like, once I get epics on a character, I kind of move on. Like, I don't often tend to put a bunch of either grinding chests or putting bounty contracts on characters, except for like Evelyn, Birdsong, Warden, because Warden's my jam, my baby, and my evil Eldritch baby, and a couple other characters where I put bounty contracts on. Yeah. Mruli X. Could we have a champion formation face-off variant? I'm not sure what you mean by face-off variant. Any plans for an Out of the Abyss campaign? Sorry, Emily, the champion face-up variant. Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not sure I'm understanding how you're asking that question. Mindless Systems. Any plans for an Out of the Abyss campaign? So probably not a campaign dedicated to that module, but there are aspects of that module that we may include in the game. Certainly Out of the Abyss gives you a lot of rich narrative potential and antagonistic potential in the form of the Underdark, and so there's a chance that we could see more of that. But I don't know if we're planning to do an Out of the Abyss campaign at this time. I think we're pretty busy with the ongoing Grand Tour of the Sword Coast, which we'll always be updating. Wrapping up the Tomb of Annihilation. Like, there's more variants, but at some point we're going to consider that campaign done. The Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign has a long ways to go, and Wizards likes to announce new campaign books. So whenever the next one comes, you can probably count on us having that. So Out of the Abyss is unlikely, as is Frost King's Thunder, Horde of the Dragon Queen. They're just unlikely to be done, but it could happen. DF Player 1, I am very new to D&D and I'm trying to get more into lore, but I'm not really sure where to get started. Any tips? Oh man. I'm blanking on the name of the segment. Maybe Lauren has it handy in her links, but there are podcasts of interviews with people who work at Wizards of the Coast on the D&D team who handle lore. So it'll be is it on Dragon Talk or lore? You should know. That's the one. Oboe Crazy. Lore you should know. Listen to those. That was what reminded me of the Great Modron March after years, and maybe poke Justin to add it to the game as an event. Excuse me. So if you're curious about lore, Lore You Should Know is a great one, because, I mean, quite frankly, all the people involved in that are master storytellers who will get into it. And then I see that somebody in chat also recommended is just read the Dritz trilogy. Yeah, get yourself an old used copy of the Crystal Shard and have at her. Our Green Paradox, so they will be the champions in the overhaul. The Companions of the Hall are going to be a part of the Year 1 champion update. So even though Dritz is an Evergreen, the core 12 refers to the base 12 that all players start with in the game before they've unlocked anybody, including Hitch. So all the Companions of the Hall are going to be looked at. Dritz is one that we are planning a full rework of because we want Dritz to be Dritz. At this time, I don't know if we're going to do full reworks or tweaks or what with Wolfgar and Caddy Bree and Regis, and like Bruner's in a pretty good place actually. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait on that one. We definitely want to focus on the core champion update first. Covicruz. Currently, we have 30 to 40 characters. So what's going to happen in, say, 3 years when we're going to have 120? Will they keep coming like a horde until no one can remember them all? Or will there be a shift to other new content? Is there a strategy? There is a strategy. We do have features planned to use champions who are not in your formation. But it's way too early to discuss at this time. Yeah. We'll explain that when we get a little closer to it. But yeah, I mean, we plan to be releasing characters every year. Like we have, God, there's such a wealth of amazing characters in the Forgotten Realms, both through shows, sure, but I mean, there's so many books at this point. There's tons of characters. I mean, Ed Greenwood's been writing Forgotten Realms stuff for a long time. So yeah, we got a lot we could add. All right. So Emerly, could we have a champion face-off variant? You have a formation on each side of the screen, like an idle champion tourney. So you mean like they're trying to compete in terms of who can progress further, or they're killing each other? I assume you mean like we're trying to compete in adventures. I don't know. Just thinking about how our game operates, I don't know if that's a feature that we would look at, but I don't know. I mean, it's a note. I mean, I can add something and pass it along to Justin and see who does, if he has something in plans or in some interest in doing something similar. Artifactsy. Waterdeep's missions all take place in Waterdeep. That is going to be a problem with the current mission selection UI. Do you have plans for an extended Waterdeep map? That is a great question for Chris that Chris can possibly answer. I know that yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna let Chris handle that one if he feels like answering it. But I agree that you know, 40 adventures in the single scrolling window would not be ideal. You know, and not all of Waterdeep Dragon Heist necessarily takes place in the city of Waterdeep. There are adjacent areas of note to that as well. DRS, do you guys have any ideas on how you'd want to expand the game moving forward? Super broad question, but I mean stuff beyond more champions or campaigns. Are there any things you guys really want to add or implement? Lots. There are lots. Yeah. Yeah, God, there are tons of things we want to add. We don't consider the game complete in terms of features that have been added to it. I mean, I just mentioned that, you know, we want players to have things to do with champions that are not actively in their formation. There are other things that we want to add as well, but we play a lot of those cards close to our chest just because. Never mind shifting release dates. We don't want to talk about things until we're confident enough in the design or the state or how finalized it is that information is going to stay accurate right up until when something releases. So, yeah. But yeah, do we have ideas on how do we want to expand the game? We have many, and some of them we're already planning on making into full designs for aspects of the game, and others, you know, maybe need some more work. But yeah, lots of stuff. Has Wizards of the Coast said anything about how they would want Idle Champions to handle it if and when we get a non-Forgotten Realms adventure module? Oh, you mean so like if they released a 5th edition campaign setting or something that wasn't in the Forgotten Realms? Yeah. Well, We are very much focused on the Forgotten Realms, but we're also very much focused on the, how do I put it? What's current in 5e. So, you know, if Wizards of the Coast, hypothetically, because I don't know what they're thinking right now, but like if Wizards of the Coast or the Dungeons and Dragons team wants to dive all in on a specific campaign setting or something, you know, it may see some sort of content related to it in our game. But for the most part, I mean, we have so much Forgotten Realm stuff that we can add, that we can implement, that it's crazy. So we have no shortage of material to work with. So I'm noticing that a lot of people are typing !raffle in chat out of habit, not reading that it says enter by typing TO. So do that and you can enter rather than !raffle. And I will let this wrap up before I start trying to take questions again, because the chat window has been annihilated. Oh, get stiff sitting in one spot for so long, not moving around. Take another sip. We were misled by a second message. Oh, it says it in the Moobot added 20 entries. Looks like it's set up for some... Oh, I see. Moobot's been tweaked in some obnoxious way. Well, anyways, type in 2, apparently. That's how you enter this time. And sorry about that. That's weird. Yeah, 2 new entries for the giveaway for a Beamdog game code. That's not what we're giving away. We're giving away supply chests. The winner will get 5 gold supply chests. You know, we decided we wanted to move to a prize that anybody would want because supply chests are awesome. I think Obo Crazy can fix the Moobot for the next giveaway when we get to it. Anyways, giveaways are open for about 5 minutes-ish. Yeah. Let's see. You know, it's funny. I am going back through where did I put it? Because I like going over the community Q&As, because while there's quite a bit of overlap between our Twitch viewership and the people who frequent the Idle Champion subreddit, it's not total, and people miss things. And so I want to make sure that I cover things. Wow, we're not on page 1, are we? I hate browsing new Reddit. There it is. So I mentioned earlier in the stream that we postponed this week's live stream just because I got snowed in, and if I'm not able to easily access other members of the team to make sure that I get the correct answers to questions, I don't like doing Q&As. Yes, obviously I still make mistakes, but what did I spoil? Let's see, Black Viper's coming, yes. Walnut Dawngrass and Rosie Beestinger will be joining the game later this year. Yes, I mentioned that. Let's see, what else? Oh, right, because I've only been talking in the roadmap about Q1 so far, so a little bit early to get into the other parts. So for those who are curious about what kinds of updates we're looking at for quality of life updates, some of the updates we are working on include improving chest opening / purchasing. So that means, you know, if you want to buy gold gems, a gold chest with gems, or open multiple chests at a time of different types, we are working on a system that will allow you to do those things. Improving blacksmith contract usage, because it's a tedious chore to use blacksmith contracts on a champion right now. So we're getting to it. Gil MF, I didn't say Walnut and Rosie in Q1. I just said they're coming this year, which is a bit of a hint that they're not both necessarily coming soon. So yeah, we want to improve the system for using blacksmith contracts because it's tedious. We don't like it either. We want to improve formation saves. Now we get a lot of different things. We get people saying that they want more slots. We get people saying that they want to be able to name or change icons for their slots or something. What we want to do is approach our formation save system in one update that is more comprehensive, that implements just implements best practices for building it. And so, yes, we could probably easily just add like more buttons for a 4th and 5th slot, but what we really want to do is make that system better overall. So that's kind of how we're looking at that. There are additional familiar features as well as familiar saves that we would like to add to the game. The familiar saves may be tied to formation saves. We'll see when we get there. We want to look at dialogue speed options, especially on console where skipping dialogue in free plays isn't an option. We want players to basically have something akin to a slider control, where on one end of the slider, in order to proceed through dialogue, you have to click, and on the other end, it doesn't show up at all. So from stopping dialogue until you have to click it, all the way to there isn't any. Now, you won't be able to have no dialogue outside of free plays, but certainly it will help with your free plays. So yeah, and then the champion profiles interface. So what I mean by that, and I guess I have to show the gamepad UI equivalent, which isn't entirely accurate. But if you go into a champion's profile, especially in the mouse and keyboard interface, there's not a lot of room for the biography at the bottom. There also isn't room for a section that we would like to add, which includes context for characters. So where was their first appearance? What year was that? Who wrote it? Who created this character? If this character made their debut in the Forgotten Realms through R.A. Salvatore's The Crystal Shard, it should say so, and what year it was published. Excuse me. And furthermore, some characters have had a wealth of character sheets created over their lifetime from different editions of Dungeons and Dragons. We would also like to have the context for where did we get this version from? And so while for characters from Dice Camera Action, that might be as simple as Anna sent us the character sheet for Evelyn Marthane, and there's also the D&D Beyond link, so we can just look at them in their stats and get that information. But some, it's the version of Minsk we had was from a character sheet that Wizards sent us, and I can't actually remember which edition of the game it's from. I don't think it's actually from one of the Baldur's Gate games, right? So we'd like to have that context there, because sometimes it confuses players, especially why aren't Drit's stats amazing? He's killed a gajillion million billion things. So yeah, there's some work to be done on it that we would like to address when we get to it, and because we want to address it properly, it's takes up time, and it takes us a little longer to get there. So yeah, just started playing this game and absolutely love it. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad you like it. A lot of time and effort has gone into it from a team of really passionate people who love it. So thank you. Hellastream. Dylan, have we talked about the Waterdeep Evergreen Champions release window yet? We haven't. Now, originally, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist Evergreen Champion Unlock was something that we were hoping to do at the end of last year, and it got pushed to Q1 this year. And I believe it's still in Q1 this year, but it may get pushed again depending on what's happening. So, yeah. There are a lot of behind-the-scenes factors in terms of character creation and managing our internal resources that come into play when it comes to things like this. So, yeah, the Shield Dwarf Archmage champion that will be the Waterdeep Dragon Heist Evergreen Unlocked has been pushed back. So may still be Q1, but it might be later. But definitely this year, if that helps, says the guy on Valentine's Day. Yeah. Just kind of... Alrighty, is progression really slowing on this one right now? Like, it seems like I might be getting close to the wall, but no, Birdsong's still tearing through everything, so I probably got a ways to go yet. Oh, look at all those bards. Sexy, sexy bards. Yeah, cool. Just gotta wait for those hexes to spread around. Alright, so any desire for alternate or themed UIs? We don't have a desire for one so much as like we fully acknowledge that the gamepad UI that we put, you know, a lot of work into, is gorgeouser than the mouse and keyboard interface. You know, like Adam and Alexis put a lot of work into these portraits, and they look awesome across all of the characters. And like Adam put a lot of work into this interface, along with Jacob and Peter, who headed up the port to console. We would like to see these resources put to use in the mouse and keyboard interface as well, which I know I call it the mouse and keyboard interface, but it's also the interface we use for tablets. So yeah, like we do plan to update it. We just don't have an ETA on when that'll be because it's such an involved project, and there are some pretty major features and content updates and such that we're pretty focused on right now. So yeah. What's the next question? Given the abundance of bards and charisma users in general for 5e, are you going to look past the common ideas for upcoming champions? We'd like to. Oh man, so what can I say about this without getting myself in trouble, talking myself into a corner, or spoiling anything that I'm not supposed to spoil yet? I could say that Walnut Dawngrass and Rosy Bee Stinger's initial designs, I don't know what designs they're going to end up with in the end, but like the initial first pass kind of high level, like, oh, they could do this, are not like other champions, certainly in the case of Walnut, and they are not charisma based. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to spoil anything. I know I did a first pass design on one of the High Rollers champions from the Eros campaign. That is my favorite design I've put together for a champion so far, personally, including Warden. Well, yeah, including Warden, although I'm very, very fond of Warden. This one is my favorite one I think I've done so far, just because I think I've... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a unique feel that I think will feel very different from other champions, and at the same time will just like be really cool and fun to play, and like fill a unique niche. Like, I don't want to speak for Chris and Justin because they have, first of all, loads more design experience than I do, but also they have very different ways that they look at the game and how they want to design characters, and so what interests them in character design might not be the same thing as me. But when it comes to myself, when I'm looking at a character, I'm looking at how I can shake up our meta and make things different. I want other things to be viable. Like, I was pushing hard for Paulton to be a champion who can be a buffer support in slot 4, because we don't already have a support in slot 4, and it opens up options for champions more. And he has a pretty strong Waffle Crew buff that only gets better, and like, you know, that was a part of the design that I was pretty fond of as well. Warden as well is, you know, like leaning towards support / DPS, which was initially, I mean, not intended for slot 11, but you know, finds a role there in that, like, okay, like it opens up another few options for formations. I'd like every design that comes out to open up more options for formations. I think that's important. you know. And so how that looks, who knows? But there are design things that I'd like to see more of too, you know, like, you know, a lot of our ultimate abilities tend to be either doing a crazy amount of damage and, you know, in some way, or, you know, like buffing the party or whatever. And like, and they're ultimates, and that's fine. But, you know, I'd like to see some more variety in them. You know, just other things that you know, more contextual. You know, like I'm really proud of how our version of Hunger of Hadar turned out, because you know, it pulls enemies into a group and it does damage, and it's just like we didn't have anything that did anything like that yet. And I'd like us to continue to do things that we don't have, like to add abilities that we don't already have, and not mimic things too much. Yeah. The only downside to all that is, excuse me, throat's getting dry again. The only downside to all of that is that if you can see the DPS counter over there going up and down, the more varied stuff we add to the game, because we've been getting steadily more varied as the lifetime of Idle Champions goes on, the more it's going to mess with stuff like that. Like it makes it harder to know at a glance whether a character is actually better for you or not. Like the best tests will be like capping out their levels and seeing how they perform at your wall versus other characters, and like that's not always an easy or quick thing to do. So yeah. You might have answered this before, but is there any interest in running another event like the High Rollers event from last fall? So the High Rollers campaign event that ran, where if you were doing adventures, you were earning tokens and like you were earning rewards while also impacting their game. We absolutely plan to do things similar to that in the future. But that's all I can say about it at this time. That's like a huge, like, do not reveal, do not talk about in advance thing. But yeah, absolutely. Colette, when designing future in-house champions, will you be looking at the new classes from Unearthed Arcana, such as Artificers and Mystics? Probably not. Only because we tend to stick to published material. So it is much more likely that you would see an Order Domain Cleric or a Circle of the Spores Druid, because they were published in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, than seeing an Artificer or a Mystic. Yeah. Or one of the many cool subclass options that Mike Merles did on Happy Fun Hour, like the Giant Soul Sorcerer. Which reminds me, Colette, has the Unearthed Arcana for the Artificer come out yet? Because they announced that they were going to do another one this month, but I don't know if it's out. I'm thinking it's going to be a late month thing. I haven't heard anybody talking about it, so I'm assuming that it's going to come late February. Now, what I can say that we do look at for designing in-house champions, just to expand on that answer a little more, we look at races that we don't have represented in the game yet, because if we have the opportunity to create our own in-house character, it's like, ooh, what don't we have? Like, we'd like to make what we don't have. You know, that's why Warden is in the game. It's like, oh, it's a Warforged. Like, there's a whole bunch of other really fun races like Loxodon and you know, Minotaurs and monstrous races from Volos and, you know, Tritons and so on and so forth that we don't have, that would be awesome to have. So yeah, that'd be cool too. Pelvo del Fuego. It's hard to tell because of the animation, but does Paulton's bagpipe attack hit 2 enemies? It does. Our Warehall. Somebody was asking just before it got blotted out by the raffle, since he had just started playing today, what 3 pieces of advice would you give players just starting? I'd say join the Discord. Discord.gg/idlechampions. You don't have to participate, but it's a great place to lurk, and there's a ton of resources. Guides that Garawar and Silisa put out, pretty regular, tend to have really in-depth game knowledge, and like they can be a little daunting, but if you can read them and get into it, like, you know, Garawar will explain to you probably the best way to get the most out of an event no matter what level of player you're at, because Garwar is pretty thorough. And Silisa is the same way about most features. I mean, putting out guides on like Azaka farming and other stuff, like the deep level stuff. So, you know, don't be afraid to browse the guides on the subreddit for that. And then the other thing is spend your gems on gold chests until at the very least you have all rared out champions. And then, you know, you want to be getting, you know, you basically want to buy gold chests until you're all epicked, ideally. But, you know, once you have rares, then maybe you can consider getting one, possibly two familiars, probably just one, just to help you out with some aspect of gameplay, if that's what you're into. But like, yeah, spend your gems on gold chests. Once you have all of your champions in epic gear, can't remember how many chests it takes to do that, but it takes a few. Once you have all of them in epic gear, then you spend it on silvers a lot of the time, because your chances of getting a shiny equipment card, a silver, are equal both with gold and silver chests. So silver chests are more cost effective for item levels and stuff. So yeah. So yeah, join the Discord, read the guides, and spend your gems on gold chests. Sir Monstein, how would you think a champion that does no damage but soaks damage and buffs those behind them would do? Well, it's funny you should mention that, Sir Monstein, because of the way that the game scales, everybody just soaks damage, except for the DPS. Like, they're the only ones that do damage, right? Like, because everybody's buffing one character. So, like, if I hold down the left trigger on my gamepad right now, Birdsong is doing 99% of the party DPS, because all buffs hit Birdsong, but not all buffs hit all of their champions. And so Evelyn is just there to get hit and buff characters. Now, that being said, what I think you're trying to say is a character that functionally either doesn't attack or never does damage, that they are purely a support / damage soaker. And in that case, I like that idea, and I gotta say, the chances of that kind of thing happening are not unlikely. Giant Dwarf. Hey, Giant Dwarf. What about Xanathar's Lost Notes to Everything Else, which is published? True. And the publishers of that are friends of ours that we love and think are awesome. And they've created some really cool subclass options in there. Like really cool stuff. Like the Entropy Domain Cleric is a favorite of mine. And the Red Reaver Barbarian as well. They're cool. You know, there aren't any subclasses in any of the official books that use your hit die for stuff, but the Red Reaver does. It's awesome. Now that said, everything that we do has to go through Wizards, right? So unless Wizards of the Coast considered Xanathar's Lost Notes to Everything Else official enough to be an official part of 5e, which I don't know what they do. I don't want to speak for them, but like, it's DM's Guild content, right? I think it's unlikely, Giant Dwarf, that that we could use it. But man, yeah, there are some cool subclasses in there. I like playing clerics too. The Entropy Domain has an appeal to me. Like just a shut down cleric. What a nightmare for a DM to deal with. Jawzy GG, do you get anything for getting 100% in the event? Yeah, you get an achievement that increases your overall DPS by 1%. So, you know, you get it for each year, so that's another 2%, and then for each one of the other achievements, you get percentages. So it's just more completion that gives you more overall damage. Kremsow, how can you bring up that damage display on PC? In the gamepad UI on Steam, you load the gamepad UI, and then if you hold down the left trigger, you can do it. Now, it's actually something that Dave has talked about adding to the mouse and keyboard interface, like a hotkey button or something that you can hold down to see the damage distribution for what's going on screen. Because you can see it's like, oh, it's our time gate pieces, gold chests, firements, gems, what area, and then like the damage that every champion is doing and what percentage of the overall party damage that represents. Yeah, it's something that we plan to add to the mouse and keyboard interface, but I have no ETA on it. I am going to make a note on it though, because like, come on, Dave, add that feature. All right, Hellish Stream again. Okay, this isn't really a question, Dylan, but I just want to throw character ideas at you. An Air Genasi Arcane Archer, Black Dragonborn Barbarian, Eladrin Swashbuckler Rogue, Half-Elf Bladesinger Wizard. I'm not a fan of Bladesingers because I think they're OP. they're so freaking powerful. Eladrin Swashbuckler is interesting. The one I like the most out of those is Air Genasi Arcane Archer. Not just because of the alliteration, but because like I don't see a lot of Air Genasi. They're interesting. Arcane Archers are interesting. They're not the most powerful. Like they're not the most mathematically powerful of the fighter subclasses, but they're good and they can do some really unfair stuff. Arrows that go around corners and stuff like that. Like come on, or banishing arrows. Anyways, the Air Genasi Arcane Archer is really interesting. I like that one. Evil Emperor Zerg. Has anybody considered characters from the Forgotten Realms comic from a long time ago? I'm not sure which comic you're referring to. I'm assuming it's not the more recent Baldur's Gate series of comics that are from the last half decade or so. Yeah, because now that I think about it, those are the only Forgotten Realms comics I've read. I never read any of the other ones. I know they've been made, but I never read them. Full disclosure, I was a huge Dragonlance nerd, so I've read 40 of those, maybe more, but not a lot of Forgotten Realms novels. It's, yeah. Sir Monstein. I think it would be fun having a wild magic mage whose ultra is just click and let's find out and does a random one from all other magic characters. That's interesting. On that note, because I mentioned it a little earlier in the stream, that we're doing a full rework of Delana's design as part of the Court Champion Balance update. For that design, we want Delana to actually be a real wild magic sorcerer. So while what you've just described with the click and let's find out does a random alt, isn't something that we were planning. I threw an idea for her overall design at Chris and Justin that I don't know if they'll like it or not, but I threw a design at them where Delana's magic ebbs and flows and has peaks and valleys in terms of what she's doing and how it works. So, like, yeah, it was more wild, where, there are times when she is throwing out the most insane, chaotic, crazy amount of DPS imaginable, and then other times where it's a little bit more tame, and it would vary in a way that I think looked fun on paper to play. I mean, maybe Justin will look at it and be like, "That's terrible," or maybe it won't design for X, Y, and Z reasons, but it won't work. But yeah, certainly an actual representation of a wild mage would be a lot of fun, provided that the RNG doesn't just totally dick you over. So this is slowed down enough. Let's see if I just nuke this. Yeah, it's slowed down enough that I'm just gonna reset it at area 420 because 420. Plunk. What do you think? Silver chest or gold chest? I guess I will wait and see. Michelle painted this the complete screen, by the way, with like the moon and the forest. Oh, silver chest this time. And then I'm gonna load up a Paulton free play. I have so many gems. Or a Birdsong free play. Which free play should I do? Let's see what everybody wants. Paulton. Everybody says Paulton. Okay. Alrighty, so now which I think I have a Birdsong formation already made for this. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Oh, but it's a Neris formation. I gotta wait for Neris still. Darn. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab some familiars and dump them on everybody so that I don't have to pay too much attention. I'm not even using Minsk and I'm leveling them. Let's see for this one. Do I have it set to affect all champions? Yeah, I guess I have to for the way I had this formation set up before. Moonbeam, of course. Is Grama in front? No. Additional secrets. So many secrets. Alrighty, so this formation does not look very optimized to me. You want Paulton to be in a spot where he's getting, you know, a lot of buffing potential from who's adjacent. Neutral for Birdsong. Yeah, okay, that's better. Healing. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I guess the only thing is I don't have an adjacency for Birdsong from Deacon, so I'm not really maximizing Deacon's buffing. Still, I guess this is okay. This is functional. It's not as high as... Oh, here we go. Neris is going to be giving Birdsong that her spiritual weapon, which will be real good when Birdsong's attacking really fast later on. So, yeah, I'll let this run for a bit. Okay, sorry. Don't mean to ignore everybody. I'm like staring at the game. Like, how do I play this game again? Alrighty. Oh, okay, so not the Jim Zub comics. There was a Wizard Dwalimer Omen that was gathering artifacts with a Spelljammer ship, had a Dwarf Spirit and an Iron Golem, a Sun Elf Cleric of Lavelis Enereth, and a Halfling Rogue, and a few others. That sounds really cool. I'd read that. Spelljammers are interesting things. So I don't know that there's any official 5e book that talks about them too much outside of the gift being a playable race and like a monster option kind of thing. I guess they're just a monster option, but you know, it's been mentioned. Like if you watch Dice Camera Action, Chris Perkins has mentioned Spelljammers, and like so they exist in the context of the multiverse. They just haven't necessarily been addressed with a 5e module or something, and I hope that they do, please. So yeah, that sounds really cool. I don't know that it's something that we're planning on doing, but you know, I'll make a note for Chris for that just to see if that's something that he wants to take characters from. Random question, DRS, do any of the artists in the Discord take commissions? I actually need some character portraits / expressions for a little RPG I'm making for some friends and I. That's a great question. I am sure Kat would do it, but I don't know what her price would be. And so if Kat is in chat, she can answer. Otherwise, maybe you could reach out to Kat. Yeah. Is there still no way to speed up restarting? Do I always have to sit through an hour or two just to get past 100/200 plus? Well, you can use potions of speed if you wish to speed up your progression. Deacon helps speed up your progression. Diath does in theory, but it doesn't seem to work as well as we had hoped in practice. So use Deacon, and yeah, you can use a potion of speed like I'm about to really get things rolling. Do I really want to use this one, or... Oh, I guess those are my options. Epic or rare. Let's just use a rare one. Boom, look at this go. Now it's literally 2 times faster. So, and if you really want a fun challenge, you can do this with the mouse and keyboard UI and try to click the distractions in the background while it's going way faster, because that's fun. Yeah, but yeah, potions of speed, which you get from chests, they drop. It's a good way to get them. Yeah. It's 2:35. Wow. Okay. Time's flying on this Valentine's Day, but also Birdsong Best Bard Day, because Birdsong is the best bard. Let me think. because there's no, I don't want to spoil anything. So yeah, to just kind of take a few back steps to the Spelljammer, you know, Dwarf Spirit and an Iron Golem and Sun Elf Cleric. That sounds awesome, and like you know, playing D&D, I would never hesitate to try and include those things in any edition, and just be like, yeah, you know, like work with my DM for a way that it can be implemented fairly if it's not something that already exists. But I really am excited for and hope that Wizards of the Coast releases updated campaign settings. The work that Keith Baker and Rudy Rutenberg did on Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron was awesome, and it's awesome. And I would love to see, you know, if they're going to do like an official treatment of that or not. You know, like, is it going to be made into a hardcover book that you can put on your shelf with everything else? Because that would be cool. I would really love to see Dark Sun. God, I'd love to see Dark Sun. And I'd like to see, you know, like a campaign book and setting book for Dark Sun that is like decades later updated. Like, you know, tons of stuff has happened. They're the coolest thing. I don't know if it'll happen, but that would be great. I'd love to see a book that's more about the multiverse itself. With more about the Abyss and the Nine Hells, and more about Sigil. You know, the weird Nexus city that's kind of like the Dark Tower, or, you know, like it's at the center of the multiverse and all this stuff, and the Lady of Pain and all those other really cool things. Like, I'd like to see all these things in 5e books, because, like, I mean, I really enjoyed playing AD&D, and I really, really enjoyed 3.5, and I didn't really get into 4, but 5 is such a easy to work with Dungeons and Dragons game. You know, like, it's so easy that, like, I hope they expand the crap out of it. Like, I want to see it have a bazillion books of cool stuff, as long as they can maintain the level of quality they're maintaining. I can't wait. It's stoked. I'm stoked. It's awesome. All right, the Mad Alchemist question: will there be a way to disable dialogue when potions are in use? It's frustrating to watch potions time down while walls of text creep by. I don't know if that's going to be an option specifically, but dialogue options are something that we're looking at for our quality of life updates, so you can expect those relatively soon. Soul Reaper, next skin when? March. Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact date, but March we'll see a new skin for the game. Yeah, I may even preview it early on stream because I can. But yeah, March. Oh, all right, it's 22. Are there any questions you have about the game, or about things that are coming that I might be able to kind of roundabout partially answer without getting myself in trouble? A Ghost, I'm super new to D&D. Is it ever too late to join and keep up with the content? No. I mean, I'm assuming you mean like if you're. Oh yeah, no, I see Lauren is already all over that. Yeah, don't worry about having to know lore to play your character. You could play, like, if you're playing D&D, you could play an ignorant farmer if you want, who just, like, I grew up farming in this town, I know this town, and that's all you know. That's fine. There's no expectation that anybody who plays at any table I'm a part of knows everything about Dungeons and Dragons, because if that was the case, nobody would ever join it. It is much more accessible than that. If you're talking about shows and streams, you can catch up on streams because many of them release as podcasts, which is a really easy way. To get on top of it. I mean, I find it rare that my Thursday night is free enough that I can sit down for 3 to 5 hours of Critical Role. And so what I usually end up doing is listening to it, on Friday while working, or at another time. You can catch up on stuff that way. So I don't know if I answered any part of the question that you were hoping to get answered, but yeah, I see that Lauren's posted some stuff in chat too. So yeah. Sir Monstein, any new familiars? New familiars are coming. I don't have an ETA to share with you on when, but not just more familiars coming, both both ones that you can purchase, but also ones that you can earn. But also, more functionality and more stuff. We want to do more things with familiars. You know, making it possible for you to target your familiar at a specific ultimate ability that they cast every time it's available is a feature that is coming when we get there. Alrighty. I saw another question in chat, and I just want to get back to it. Hello, stream. Black Viper is the next champion. Can you talk about her at all besides she's coming? Any hints about anything? Now, some of you may already have the Waterdeep Dragon Heist TRPG book. It is, and if you don't, and you ever plan to DM D&D, I highly recommend it. It is one of the best campaign books they've ever made. Wizards of the Coast is not paying me to say that. I'm saying it because it's awesome. I am DMing multiple campaigns in it right now. It's rad. Now, the Black Viper has I want to say at least a full page, maybe more, of content in that book on the character, including a stat sheet. You know, the version of the Black Viper. Oh, excuse me, just getting dry throat from talking nonstop for 2 hours. Oh, that's better. The version of the Black Viper that we are introducing in Idle Champions is based aesthetically off of the official cosplay of the character that Vivid Vivka did for the stream of Many Eyes, as well as on Dice Camera Action. And now, if you don't know who Vivid Vivka is, a lot of V's in her name, keep in mind that a lot of her content online is not safe for work, for reasons that are really apparent as soon as you start looking into it. But Vivka is awesome. She's a friend to the company, and she's on Sirens of the Realms and all that stuff. So the official cosplay that she did, because she iterated on the design of the Black Viper and did some really cool things, including like wicked looking Chris daggers, like those fist daggers that come out from between your fingers in her costume. And I'm pretty sure they're real daggers. Anyway, so like, she did a lot of really cool stuff. And so we're basing our look for the Black Viper off of the look that Vivka created. And so our version will be based off of her and not off the one that's in the pages of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist book, at least in terms of look. The design, I did the first pass on the design, and then Justin and Chris took some of the ideas from that design and took them in a whole expanded different direction. So yeah, I'm not even personally completely clear on exactly what she's going to look like by the time she joins the game, because I don't think that's done. I know some players in the Well of Spoilers channel of the Discord have data mined some parts of her kit, but none of that stuff is finalized, so we'll see how she ends up turning out. But I'm very excited about the character. It's a great character, but also the design, as far as rogues go, is unique for our game to date. So, yeah. K Dark One, do you get more gold pausing on bosses? Well, I mean, like the amount of gold you get is kind of random, but the only time you get a crazy amount of wealth is when you first kill a boss. I don't think it maintains after that. Like if you idle only on a boss area, killing the boss over and over, I don't think you get more gold than other areas, but I could be wrong. It's not something I've really thought about. Yeah. Diarist is right in that like enemies do not spawn at a faster rate when there's a boss because they disappear. They stop spawning. I've always found adventures just with high spawn rates normally, and then using Deacon is the best way to get a lot of gold. Although, I guess if we're talking about best ways to earn gold in Idle Champions, you can't forget to mention Azaka stun farming, which is its own meta that players have created using game mechanics to stun enemies forever and generate crazy amounts of gold. Silisa posted a guide about that on the subreddit at one point. So check that out because, yeah, that's crazy. And I should also mention that in 5 minutes we will have our another giveaway. Yeah. K-Dark 1, does it matter if you level everybody or just the formation? I mean, if you want to be efficient, you can only level the characters, the champions that you put into your formation. That's totally fine. But I always just kind of like level all of them because keeping everybody reasonably caught up just doesn't really cost that much more gold. The only time it's inconvenient is on your early runs in an event when you don't have Divine Favor yet. Yeah. All right. If I wanted to support the game and its developers, what is the best way, in your opinion? Well, I mean, it's a free-to-play game that not everybody spends money in, and spending money is the way that supports us. Like, it is. Now, I'm not saying spend all your money or all your disposable income or whatever, buy every DLC, because that's expensive. Not everybody has disposable income like that. But yeah, the best way to support us like that helps us keep the lights on. Like at the end of the day, we release enough content on the schedule that we do to keep people playing, and the percentage of players who contribute financially to it are the ones that keep the lights on. Yeah, so like if you would want to spend something, please do. If you're only going to buy one thing ever, the Founders Pack is by far the best deal of any kind. It's not close. It'll never get discounted, so you never have to worry about purchasing it and then having it show up for 50% off down the line, because it is already really aggressively discounted to be the Founders Pack, so it'll never be cheaper. So yeah, that would probably be the best thing you could do. Yeah, and that would be awesome. Let's see. If you had to take any 5 champions in the game through Curse of Strahd, who would you pick and how badly would it go? Huh. Well, I don't know if I'd pick the Waffle Crew because that didn't go well for them. Come to think of it, it didn't go well for Neris and Minsk and Boo and Criddle and Shandy and Delana either. Let's say it's so any 5 champions in the game. I'm like trying to make the best party I can out of 5. Then it actually, well, I'd have Paulton, Evelyn, and Strix, along with Celeste and Calliope. Paulton, Evelyn, Strix, Celeste, Calliope. Yeah, that strikes me as a formation where Strix would just nuke everything with fire. But the emotional turmoil would probably cripple them forever. Yeah. When I think about just like powerful characters and like, I mean, yeah. Sorry, Diath. Yeah, our Diath needs a little bit of love. It's one of those situations where the character design is like, okay, this looks great on paper, and like we're playing it, and like it feels all right, but like it's just not hitting the mark the way we'd want to. Like, yeah. So we're looking at DF as part of the Year 1 Champion update. Any idea on when you'll be adding more Helm's Blessings? I started the campaign for shits and giggles this morning, and I've already unlocked them all and have millions of favor right now. Yeah, I mean the more more geared your characters are and stuff, like it's you're able to push further and further, and so it trivializes it. I could say that they're coming soon, and not Valve/Blizzard soon. Like they are coming soon, probably next month. But it depends. I know they're not quite finished being designed yet. RA1 Suli. Are there plans to be able to buy golden epics from previous weekend packs for people who started the game after those weekends? What I can say about that is that we absolutely plan to bring them back, but how we do that has not been finalized yet. Yeah. The giveaway is now open. Enter the giveaway by typing in 5x in chat. And good luck. Somebody is going to get a stack of 5 gold supply chests. Yeah. Alrighty. What do I have for items for chests in here right now, by the way? Oh yeah, I have all my free plays. So this is my free play luck so far. Oh, and the as well as the 3 variants for Paulton. So I actually have 2 gold and 4 silver Paulton chests, not 5 and 4. My luck isn't that good. And I actually only have 3 silvers for Birdsong and no golds. These golds are from today's chest code. I'm gonna open these. Singing sword rare, alright. Dinosaur hide belt. So I guess that means that my next Birdsong free play is going to be a guaranteed gold Birdsong chest. So that's cool. Which reminds me, I forgot to address this earlier and I wanted to because it was a question coming up. Some players may have noticed that our event free play chests are on separate timers. Now, this wasn't always the case, although it was always intended to be the case. And so we did a bug fix with something that we noticed with the release of Grand Rebel and separated those timers. So what was happening with previous year 2 events was players were able to, play free plays for their less desired champion and get a silver or 2 or 3 event chests in a row hitting area 50, and then they go into the other free play of the more desired champion and get a guaranteed gold right away. That is no longer the case because they've been separated. Because basically in all instances of chests, every chest timer is separate. It's just the way we've always wanted to approach it. And yeah, when we did a bug fix, it wasn't in the changelog for some reason. Now, I know there will be players who accuse us of trying to obfuscate or in any way hide the truth by doing that, and that's not the case. It's actually just we have 5 developers who contribute to the changelog, and when we're building patch notes, it's like when we're going to mention it, it's like, all right, everybody is adding what they're going to add to the build of the game, and things get missed. That's it. They just get missed. I have seen Justin on more than one occasion be like, hey, don't forget to add everything that you're adding to this changelog. Like, make sure that it's there. And stuff, it still just sometimes gets missed. It's human error. We're not trying to hide anything. And actually, to be honest, I didn't even personally realize that you could kind of game the event chest system by alternating which ones you were getting. That was news to me when it was pointed out. And when it was pointed out, somebody's like, here's a thread from 2 months ago when we were talking about it. I was like, oh, I just missed that. So yeah, we don't try to hide things. We do our best to be as transparent as we can be, but it's human error. It hasn't been added to the changelog since because we haven't pushed down any builds, Dwom. Yeah, when we push out builds, we try to do stuff like that. So, was Narak's stun fixed? Yes, it was incorrectly stunning forever. That was also a bug fix in the most recent build of the game, I think. Yeah, it was supposed to be a percentage chance, not a 100% chance, and so now it's a percentage chance, like it's supposed to be. Yeah, and this is a fix that one of our developers finished and committed to the code and added to the game, and it misses the changelog, and yeah, it sucks. We don't like having it play out that way, but it sometimes happens. So I am sorry. I miss things too. I missed the thread talking about event chests months ago that probably could have led to this bug getting addressed and fixed sooner. And I really didn't mean to. It just happens sometimes. And on that note, I hope everybody has the Valentine's Day that they want today, whether you choose to spend it with somebody or not, or whatever you choose to do. I hope it's an awesome time. This has been our show for today, Thursday, February 14th, 2019. Thank you all so much for joining us, for watching, for participating. You are all my Valentine. This show exists because of a number of amazing people behind the scenes, including my co-producers, Erica and Clive and Chris today, as well as our partners at Dungeons & Dragons, Daryl, Allison, Greg, Bart, Pelham, Satine, and Obo Crazy. As far as I know, Welch's Game Juice is on next today with a special Valentine's Day edition, I'm sure. So check that out because Kate Welch is awesome. And of course, Critical Role returns tonight after taking a week off. So have a wonderful weekend, champions, and congratulations to the winner of the 5 gold supply chests. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Cheers.